Hey everybody, Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and today I'm chatting with JD about his 92 YJ. JD, thanks so much for being here with me. I'm really excited to talk about this.
I'm glad to be here. It's really fun.
To go over your setup for everybody who's watching at home, JD is driving a 92 YJ Wrangler. For wheels, he's got the Pro Comp wheels, Steel Series 252s, Street Locks in flat black. These are 15x8s with a negative 19mm offset, making for an aggressive stance. For tires, he's running the Mickey Thompson Baja ATZ P3s. These are 33x12.5 inch. And then for suspension, he's got the Rough Country 4-inch lift kit. What made you want to start modifying it in the first place?
I've had it for a little over a year and a half. I found this one. It was about a 3-hour drive north from here. So we took it the back way home, got it home, and then I immediately just got online and started ordering parts for it, and I just got so into it. I went full steam ahead on it. I mean, the FedEx drivers knew just to go to the garage door. They didn't even come to the front door anymore.
So tell me a little bit about how you use the Jeep. What kind of off-roading or wheeling do you do with it?
It's mostly trail riding, and for where I'm at, you would think there'd be a lot of rock crawling, but I'd like to do a little more rock crawling than I do. But the steep mountain fire breaks, there's a mountain range here that goes up to about 10,000 feet, and there's millions of fire breaks up it, and getting into those and exploring around is really neat.
So I want to start by talking about your wheels. So you've got the Pro Comp wheels, Steel Series 252 Street Locks in flat black. They're 15x8s with that negative 19mm offset, so you've got a pretty aggressive stance. What drew you to this wheel initially when you were shopping?
Well, reading reviews on it, and I also really had a style in mind that I wanted. I didn't want real flashy. I wanted kind of really underscored look to it. I also wanted it to be just all black wheels. You know, white walls in, black rims, black lug nuts. I just think that's a cool look with a larger sidewall. I think it looks neat. And Pro Comps I've had good luck with all their stuff.
So was there any consideration for like different types of materials like aluminum, or I know you say you really wanted black, like a different finish or something like that?
No, I was dead set on steel. I'm not big on the aesthetics of it, really. It's more function, durability, and longevity.
These have what we would call an aggressive stance. So you've got a little bit of poke coming out from the edges of your fenders. Now, I know you've got some aftermarket Barricade fenders on there. How much poke would you say? About an inch and a half or so?
Inch and a half. When I had the factory fenders on there, it was quite a bit, maybe 3. And the rare event that we do get mud during monsoon seasons, I'm throwing mud straight up in the air and it's coming down on the hood in big chunks.
Are you still getting that with the larger fender flares on it?
We haven't had any rain to play around and we won't get any till June, but I can already tell just by the sound of what's hitting them when I'm throwing up pebbles and gravel that they're going to have an effect on that. I don't want to be throwing that stuff everywhere.
So what made you go with that with an offset of wheel? Was it to fit the tires, or was it just for the aesthetics? What made you do that?
They had a massive offset that where a star wrench, like a typical star lug wrench that you'd carry in the back, wouldn't even reach the lugs. And it was so far out, they were probably 5 inches out past the fenders, and it handled awful. And it was just the worst ride ever. I was like, I'm gonna bring these back in a little bit, get them back under the Jeep and get some softer rubber on there. And I got a much better ride out of it.
So again, you've got the Mickey Thompson Baja ATZ P3s, and they're 33x12.5. So how have these handled the off-roading, whatever you've thrown at them?
They've been fantastic. I can do a lot of the trails I've done without putting it in four-wheel drive that are hard packed dirt with embedded rocks in them. And I've been able just to bump right up to that, to a dead stop, and then just pop the clutch and goose it and just bring the whole front end up and bring the back end up, and no problem at all. And my tread and my tires have a huge difference, and it's made a lot of difference, I think.
How are they out on the street? Because this is a point of contention for people who are going for something that's capable. Do you compromise on the street? So how have they been out there?
Yeah, I wanted it not a lot of road noise. I was trying to find a balance between road noise and aggressive tread. You can hear them for sure, and I actually like being able to hear them at the level they're at. I think any louder, they'll probably be obnoxious, but yeah, I've got the soft top on there, so the wind noise gets probably louder than the tread noise.
Here's another question then, and I kind of already know the answer to it, but I want to hear what your experience has been with it. Because these are so much larger than what the Jeep would have had stock, has it thrown off your speedometer at all?
Yeah, it's about roughly 10 miles faster. And the day we brought it home, northern part of Arizona, my wife was behind me in my truck, and I kept thinking, why is she going so slow? And then I looked at my GPS once we got on a straight highway, and I was doing 75 miles an hour, which in that Jeep was very scary at the time. I was like, okay, that's right. I forgot about the tires throwing it off. It's funny because just within the last couple of weeks, the speedometer completely dropped out. And I have a windshield mounted GPS that I've always just used that as my speedometer. I hardly ever look at mine, so I don't even know how long mine could have been out. My wife pointed it out. She was like, why is your speedometer not moving? I didn't notice that. I wanted to insulate that, and I wanted to change the speedometer gear. I probably won't do it until the next clutch.
So the main thing you've done here is the Rough Country 4-inch lift kit. It comes pretty complete. It's got the shocks, it's got the leaf springs, all the shackles and everything too. So how has it been out on the street and the trail? How's it handled what you've thrown at it?
I'm comfortable, 65 miles an hour is the speed limit, so you're doing 66, 67, and it's fine. The roads are pretty curvy here going in and out of town, and I feel pretty confident. The handle's great on those. On the trail, it's outstanding. I'd rather drive it on dirt. It's just so much more fun. I mean, it likes to be on dirt. It likes to be on rocks, and you get it on pavement and it's sort of unfamiliar ground, but I'm only using that to get to where I'm going.
Since you had you've got the new suspension, the wheels, the tires, everything, do you have any issues with fitment, rubbing, any modifications you needed to make to fit the wheels and tires properly on this?
The very back corner of the wheel wells are still rubbing. The back corner though, very back corner of the wheel wells, and that's part of that 1.25 inch body lift I'm doing is to solve that. It's so minimal that even I've been out 3 times with those new fenders on, and you can barely tell that it's definitely not making any marks in the tire, and it's not done any damage to the fenders, because those fenders completely cover your body panel. So it's almost like a shield. When the tire does hit it, it's hitting the plastic from the fender, not the sheet metal from the body.
Since you've had this set up for a little while now, you've been using it, if you had to go back and do it all over again, is there anything you would do differently? Since
I do have a YJ, I very seldom see them. In the 1.5 years I've had it, I've only seen maybe 3 others, but I do read on a lot of forums where people are talking about their coilovers and how much nicer of a ride it is instead of having 4 leaves on each corner. And I may have done a little bit more research on Jeeps before I pulled the trigger on it, but I'm stubborn enough to say that I would not change a thing.
What are your big plans for changes in the future? What is next on your list?
Let's say in the immediate future is that body lift, and then the more bomb-proof engine lift, the 1-inch engine lift, the Ford 8.8 in the rear. That's the disc brake conversion for the rear and the new rear end. That rear end is coming really soon, and then get an ARB compressor under the hood and some lockers up front, some chromoly axles.
All right, well, JD, thank you so much for being here and chatting with me about your YJ. Again, I was really excited to do this one, so I'm glad you're happy with it. I'm curious to see what you do with it in the future, so please definitely keep us posted on it.
I will do that. It's been fun.
For everybody who is watching at home, just to run over the setup one more time, JD is driving a 1992 Jeep YJ. For wheels, he's got the Pro Comp Wheels Steel Series 252 Street Locks in flat black. These are 15x8s with a -19mm offset, making for an aggressive stance. For tires, he's running the Mickey Thompson Baja ATZ P3s, and these are 33x12.5 inch. And then for suspension, he's got the Rough Country 4-inch lift kit. So JD, thank you again for being here with me. Thank you all for watching. And remember, for all things Jeep, be sure to keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.